Hey, welcome to a brand new episode of Straight Show Podcast. I am your host, Calvin. Hey, it is Music Monday, y'all. This is coming down to the end. Man, you know my love of music. I used to be a DJ, and I love music. And so, even though I'm in media right now, not doing so much music, I still keep my ear to the streets about what's going on with music. And you all know that I am from a town in Louisiana called Shreveport, where we have some of the greatest artists out there that you probably have never heard of. Maybe you have heard of, but you have people like let me see, Cole Bosley, Cole Bossberry, who else? Hurricane Chris. A lot of people that you probably heard of from Shreveport. Jordan Davis, high school football teammate of mine. Yeah, so a lot of people come out from Shreveport, but today's guest, he is also from the Shreveport Bossier area, more so the Stonewall area. Today's guest is a good friend of mine, great, like a brother to me. Help me welcome Mr. Shay Bailiff. Shay, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today, sir.
Hey, thank you, man. It's good to be here.
Yes, sir. And Shay is back. This is his second time on the show,
Yes.
but this is his time. This is just for Shay only. We had Michael, of course, of the band Shayliff, but this is Shay Bailiff. So, man, like, hey, Shay, thank you once again, man, for coming on the show.
Thank you, man. Honored to be a part of the episode too. I sure appreciate you reaching out, and hey, good to be here.
Yeah, yes, sir. And I last seen Shay at our good friend and Rachel and Colton's wedding. So Shay was performing there, man. So that made it more beautiful just to see you perform at the wedding. And man, that was just last time I seen you in person.
It was awesome. Yeah, it was like I feel like he's the last of maybe my 2 or 3 friends my age that hadn't got married, right? So I think Trey's left, but yeah, man, that was a beautiful wedding. I love that they did it outdoors. Right in the middle of was around Fairfield area. So yeah, man. Hey, you did great yourself, brother.
Yeah. I was the ordained minister for that wedding, and
I could tell. I was like, yeah, this guy's had some experience, and being a minister, it was perfect.
Did you see me crying? I was crying too. I was like, man, just,
yeah.
when I saw Colton crying, I was like, oh man, don't do that to me, man. I'm crying.
Right, yeah.
Colton,
man, he's. You see somebody like Colton crying, it's like, yeah, this is
pretty serious.
yeah.
I think because I've known both of them as children. They say, hey, let Calvin be the minister for this and do it. I'm like, all right, me do a wedding. I'm like sweating and nervous, and I'm over here looking at you and Michael like, man, what do I do?
You killed it, man.
Thanks, Trust brother. Man, so like that whole community with Colton, Trey, and all those people, man, like we have really have a bond with all this, and I think most of the bond comes from seeing you and your band, Shayliff, perform, man. So I think kind of like just that whole glue kind of stems from like seeing y'all perform in different bars and different venues. So I really think that was kind of like a reunion of not only just like our personal friends, but because of the friends that we made, hearing y'all's music. So before we get even any further into it, can you tell people about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, man. So I'm Shay Bailiff, and I've been playing music since I was 15 years old, right? So I don't even want to say how long that is now, but it's definitely a couple of decades, right? But yeah, and we started playing basically to fill a void is kind of how I reluctantly started playing on live stages. And so my parents used to do youth ministry, and we had some worship bands that would play, and they were killer, really talented musicians, and they would play on Thursday nights for a while there, and then eventually they were unable to play, and like there were literally no other bands. This was like back before, it's just a little different back then, so we couldn't get a band out there. And there was a lady that was attending during that time. Her name is Jill, and she was like, she had like a gift, she was a real strong Christian lady, and she basically was like, hey, I know that you want to be performing and singing, and I was like, well, how'd you know that? It's kind of crazy, because I had been practicing like and singing, on my own, right? But I never had the courage to get up and do that at that age, So she said, you need to be doing it, and you need to do it. Like, go ahead and just do it this week.
Challenged you.
Yeah, she challenged me, but it was a real like pushy but cool way that she did it. It wasn't. I was like, yeah, you're right. I need to do it. So I got up and did that. I felt like that was the last day of my life. That's how terrifying that was to me, and I did very bad, right? So that's how I started, and ended up the next week. It was just Grayson and I, my twin brother, and we did that for years. But the way it kicked off was just me on a guitar singing and him playing drums, and then we look up 4 years later and we have these full bands that we started. We're playing in churches like 4 times a week, and I started to write music at that time that wasn't necessarily like so worship churchy type music, but it was still like Christian music. And then so we were doing that for a while, and of course my senior year, to kind of backpedal, I went to Evangel. In my senior year in particular, there were like a group of 20 Koreans, exchange students, and I was real intrigued by their culture and like became real good friends with all these guys. And eventually they were like, hey man, you should cover a Korean song, like put it on the internet, put it on YouTube. And so that was another like pressure kind of thing. I was like, dude, I don't know about that, So I said, hey, I'll do one, like memorize the song, study the words, like put it on the internet, and it got a lot more attention than I could have ever imagined. And to the point of there were 3 record labels that reached out to me at that time, and I was young, so I chose to go with the indie small label, and so I could have my freedom, right?
Right.
So basically we were you're saving up your own money. It's a small label. And I saved up, just decided to go to Korea, like move over there. I had some friends from school that let me stay at their house, and like just went, I was 20 years old, and looking back, it's like, man, that was pretty stupid, right? So, we're doing that, and they basically kind of had some guys set up for me, some musicians, and we started recording and recording albums in Korea and in Korean. And it happened pretty quick. We're setting up gigs, and then a year into it, like some big TV promotions reached out to us, and it was just kind of, rolling, really. But the kicker is like, if you don't have a top 10 song on the radio, especially as a foreigner, it's really hard to like keep money coming in, because I only had an entertainment visa, so I could only make money playing music, which is the hardest way. So I decided, it's 2 or 3 years in, I was like, man, I'm going to go back to the States and start this band. And so that's like the first half of the story, and then we started Shayliff when I was like, I guess 23, 24. And, I grew up, I'd known Michael and Jacob. They're younger than me, but I knew them from playing tennis and things like that. And got my brother back and just said, hey man, we'll start this band and practice, 16 hours a week and get like a 4-hour set list. And then we'll start booking shows, so start off as kind of like a cover band, 2 originals per set. And eventually we flipped the other way, but yeah, man,
That's
reminds me of how wild of a ride it's been, I guess.
I know. It's crazy because just like coincidentally, you were my first ever your band was my first ever published article in journalism, professionally.
Awesome.
So that was cool to see y'all when we did the I know, right? This like Shayliff, just Shay itself has been about milestone moments for me in my career. And as of this recording of this podcast, he's actually the last person I'm interviewing for recording. So it's just, that's why the bond's there, because we have this kind of like milestone moments. That's why you're very special to me, brother. And that's why I had to have you in So yeah, just to hear that crazy, amazing story. You guys have been doing a lot, and uh, just that risk you took. I mean, that's. I mean, how were your parents reacting to you just up and leaving and just? I mean, that had to be hard on Greg too, right?
Right. Yeah. I think he probably took it the hardest. But no, I think I convinced them that, hey, we have all this attention, and I still like, even at that age, I still had like kind of a work ethic that I could show them, like, hey, this is not something. They knew that I've been working on this for 100 hours a month since I was 15, and so they saw the opportunity in it, and I think looking back, they probably would have not allowed me to go had they known everything that happened over there, but they knew, hey, I got buddies over there. I'm staying with them. It's safe. But yeah, because there was one point, and I'm kind of going back. My label and management had kind of just, I felt like just a used up workhorse, over there. And at one point, I told them, because in my contract, hey, I can go back to the States every 3 months for a month. And so it got to the point where eventually they were like, well, no, you can't. We're not going to let you do that. So I said, yes, I am. Yes, I will. Right. So and I ended up kind of complying with them and staying like months longer than agreed. And so finally, I just kind of saw the writing on the wall, and I was kind of getting unhealthy over there. And I told them I was leaving, and they basically found a way to make my passport vanish
Oh wow.
out of thin air. Yeah, so that's when I reached out to my parents. Right, they didn't know how severe it was until like it come to that point. So basically, I had to like go to the cops and like lie, tell them that I lost my passport at a club, which I didn't even drink till I was 23.
Right.
But and then like get a new one made at the embassy and like just jet out of there. So yeah, they would probably, had they known that, they'd probably been like, yeah, I don't think you're going anywhere, buddy.
And, it, and,
But
it, and it's
I wouldn't take it back for the world, because the things that I learned over there and their approach to not just the entertainment world but just work in general is pretty astounding. I mean, I see why companies like Samsung and a lot of these Korean companies are doing so well worldwide. They really understand how to make things work. And they know how to work. you know, so
and and it kind of gave you an insight how dirty the music business can be.
yeah, absolutely.
Man.
Yeah,
Well,
and that's the thing. Like when I went to the embassy, they said, this happens to people all the time. Is what they told me, and I was like, man, that sucks. That sucks to hear. But that's true. The embassy, and you see, some of these really famous, legendary singers. If you hear their biography, or their you watch movies about them, they had to either switch management or things didn't work out as well as they seemed. It is kind of dirty, and I feel like it's gotten better because there's less that you can sweep under the rug now, but it still is it's tricky, man. It is. So I'm having more fun kind of doing it the way we've been doing it, is just strictly like running it ourselves and kind of in control of what we're doing.
man,
So yeah, man.
that's crazy. These are stories that I knew about from you, but I didn't know the
Yeah.
details of them. So I didn't know that. I thought it was all smooth sailing, man. Because I look on YouTube, you see MTV Korea. I'm like, wait a minute, Shay Bailiff on MTV. I'm like, wait a minute. So man,
Right.
that was I didn't know the whole story about that. This is new to me. I didn't know you had a big struggle
Oh,
out there.
really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, that's the thing, man. We were like, it looked like it was doing well, and it was. And if I had, looking back now, like if I had the ability to have a second, source of income, probably would have been fine, you know. But it was like literally like the starving artist kind of story, where you're trying to hustle it, but you're you know, there's only so much you can do at that level, you know, as a musician, as far as, you know, it's a small country. You just say there's a game to be played. You know, you don't want to just play everywhere all the time. You got to keep it kind of exclusive. But yeah, looking back, I probably would have had a better strategy going in. But hey, you know, I'm glad to be back here. This is where I met my wife, you know, and got all my buddies here. So I could have kissed the soil when I came back to the States.
Yeah. Man, and we're glad to have you. We're glad to have you on this episode of Music Monday. Y'all, we're going to have a little bit more with Shay Bailiff on Music Monday here on the Shayliff Show podcast. Stay tuned.
Take this time, realize all you've done. Hold this time, hold it dear. Give your life, give a little more. All this time I've come to find your love holds true, stronger than I realized. I'm on this time. You hold me near, hold me in your arms.
I think straight up means to be able to speak in a way that is straight up, to be honest, and to speak your truth.
Raw, uncut, you know what I mean? It's blunt, you know, straight to the point. This is what it is.
It's just a place to be open and honest, and that's what I appreciate most about it. And it provides a place for community members to come together and just be straight up with each other about things that are going on in the world, because it affects all of us.
Unfiltered, raw, with all the cursing that Calvin does.
Straight up is just being real, telling it like it is, you know, being you.
Being solid, being who you are, no matter what it is, no matter what situation you're faced with, right? This is who you are. It really speaks to me, saying it is what it is and it ain't what it ain't, straight up.
All right, welcome back to the Shayliff Show podcast, Music Monday. I'm your host, Calvin. Hey, today I have one of my good friends, personally good friends. He's helped me out through a lot. His music has helped me out through a lot as well. He has a great family, great wife, just all around great guy. Today's guest is no other than Shayliff's lead singer, Shay Bailiff. Man, and thank you so much for coming on the show today, man.
Hey, man, I'm glad to be here. This is tell you, man, it's wild how long you've been doing this too. Man, you've been doing, I cannot believe 100 episodes. Just, that is so wild to me.
That is crazy, man. Like, you know, and you've been a part of this episode. My only regret is not having your brother on the show, because man, like, that's just like, I really felt like I think y'all purposely keep him away from interviews and stuff like that, man, because like, seriously, when I look at all your interviews and stuff like that, he is never interviewing anybody. Like, I'm like, y'all have to start putting him in front of a microphone, man. I know.
Keep him in the drum cage. He's hard to pin down, man. He's the most obscure, you know, kind of like elusive guy. I never know where he is at times.
And then knowing him, his brother is known for like, hey man, hey Calvin, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm sleeping. What are you doing? Just at home, just thinking about stuff. Wonder how you doing, buddy? I'm like, I'm good, Gray. Like, and then we start talking about life and then politics, and then we just, man, I love your brother, man. It's just, that's you know, man, just, and I think every time I see him, it's like we pick up where we never left off, just never skip the beat, man. But Shay's right, man. He's always, you never know where he's at.
I never know, man. He's a mystery,
man. So I love him. Love all your band, man. Just so, and for people that don't know, Shay has a band called Shayliff, which if you can't put two and two together, his name is Shay Bailiff. So Shayliff, so you get it. That's my question. I'm not going to even ask you. Yeah. So Shay Bailiff, Shayliff. But can you just tell us right quick, kind of name your bandmates right now?
Yeah, so we have my twin brother, Grayson, Michael Brown on the lead guitar, Morgan Fayard on bass, and Tim Powell. He does keys, electric, anything backing, in-ear monitors, like, he's like a robot or something. I don't know. He's crazy. So yeah, we're a 5-person band as of, I guess, 2 or 3 years ago. And yeah, man, just rocking it out, enjoying whenever we can still get the opportunity to play, man. We're always excited,
And quick shout out to Tim, man. He's having a brand new baby, so just engaged. So man, hey Tim, congratulations, man. We love you out here, man. And I've known Tim since high school, so
oh nice.
Man, yeah, that's to hear him to be a dad now, man. He's a great guy, sweet guy. So big congrats to Tim, man.
Yeah, he's freaking out, but he'll do just fine.
Man, hey,
what's that?
Life's hitting us. Life is really hitting us.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is. Well, but yeah, no, that's, man, I tell you, this band, I guess we've been going 12 years now or close to, but when I got back from Korea, I just wanted to have a group of guys that, I really wanted to make good American, like alternative rock and roll music. And that, I tried to kind of get that style to work in Korea, and it just didn't really work like I had hoped as well, And so when I came back here, I was like, we're just writing the music that we want to write and doing it the way we want to do it. And at that time, metal and country were like the only music that was working in Shreveport at that time, and we wanted to do like Radiohead meets Kings of Leon originals, and it just didn't really fit anywhere. But I was like, man, I'm just going to do it, and I kind of was reading articles like, just do the music you want to do and let the audience come to you, the people who have the appetite for that kind of stuff. And so we were doing that, but I would say it probably took like 3 or 4 years for Shreveport to start catching on to what we were doing, so we were doing that. We were playing out of town a lot whenever we first started, in San Antonio and Dallas, Arkansas. We played Monroe a lot. And surprisingly enough, Monroe was like the very first place to just embrace us completely. We got a lot of momentum there first. And to the point of like we did some ULM like Battle of the Band stuff. We were invited to do competitions like that. We ended up like somehow winning that and getting to play with the Fray over there. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of momentum everywhere else but Shreveport whenever we first came back. And then it all kind of bled over. Now it's the opposite. I feel like we do better here now than anywhere, But we did it hardcore, man. We were recording like 4 full albums, so every 2 to 3 years we were recording a new album and playing with as many nationals as we could. We were eat, sleep, and breathe it, there for a good 7-8 years. And of course, I'm gotten older and married, and I have kids, and I've started a roofing business, Priority Roofing. Just a little plug there.
Go for it.
Yeah, but started that, and now it's music to me it's a drug. It's something that I have to do, and so I do it when I want to, which is pretty awesome. We're not just on the grind, but like Tyler Reed invited us to open up for them last month. Stuff like that to me is just like, that's what gets me stoked about still being able to play.
And that's I think that's what kind of like why I kind of like connected with you a lot, because like, just being a DJ, and like I come from hip hop, and like, going to like different clubs in downtown Shreveport and like Coco's and all this stuff like that. But like,
yeah,
I would get all these artists, hey, play my music, you know, and like you can just tell like it was just garbage, you know, and like it was just like not good music. And like and you didn't hear the
Right.
purity in their music, you know, it was just random rhymes and stuff like that. But I think and I tell you this story all the time, but like and the bar is no longer there anymore. But you perform at this bar off of Shreveport Barksdale over there next to the McDonald's, or right next to the bridge right there before it connects to Bossier over there. It used to be a bar in that corner over there, and y'all perform over there. And that was the first time I actually think I seen you perform. And like you perform and you came down and you just sat at the bar by yourself, and everybody else is having a good time talking and stuff and mingling around. But you just sat there by yourself and you were just talking, like, and me, you just talking maybe like 30 minutes after you perform. You were sweating and stuff, and you know, and like,
Right.
but just to hear you just be so passionate about music, man, like that's kind of how I knew you were a special person, man, because like you really had a good mindset about music. And I think it's kind of like why I connected with you, because like your style is different. You know, I know you say Kings of Leon and you said you want to talk about modern rock, but I think that what you have as an artist is not just rock, and I think you can't put yourself in a bubble. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
you're a church boy. I'm a church boy. So like it's just
Right.
like you hear that soul in you too.
Mhm.
But if you were to describe like your vocal style and stuff like that, how would you describe your vocal style and how did you kind of get to where you are right now? Because you, Shay, can hit ranges and styles of that I've never seen before in my life.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, brother. You get me excited. I'm like, man, I guess I keep doing this for a while. But no, by how would I describe my vocal style? I guess, you know, melancholic blues and basically, you know, it's hard for me to put it kind of categorize it, but I know the feeling that I'm going for is like just a full kind of sound that you're going to really feel like convinced that what I'm singing is, I really mean it. And it really is like an outlet for me, you know, but it's stylistically, I mean, you're right. I mean, the church, we grew up around the church is like rhythm, blues, soul, gospel, you know, meets like weird kind of British music that I like to listen to, you know, and, and I'm part Irish. So I guess that's why I get the kind of, you know, the melancholy stuff going on. Who knows, right? But I just really like to express an idea in a way that's going to really like hit home with people. And sometimes it does. It takes like the song "The One" for me to really like express it like I wanted to. Like I had to hit those notes right, and from my soul, and it's like, yeah, man, that's what I wanted it to be, and it, you know, something you can hang your hat on, right, when you're done with.
And that song, the one that I think that's a prime example. And I'll play it right here. As you just heard, like you just hit that note. It's just, you know, specifically on the chorus, you started off kind of edgy rock, but then you like, yeah, like I can't hit it. Sorry about it. But like on the second, when you came
Yeah,
around
that's
the
all good.
second part of that song, you like just went from rock and you just hit a high note like that. Like I don't know how you did that, man. Like I mean, did you besides church, did you have any kind of like any training at all, or are you just kind of just self taught?
Well, no, and I had some guitar lessons, you know, growing up, but vocals not really. But I would say that because it was First Assembly right at Shreveport Community, so no real like hands-on training, but I was in bands and had to sing alongside people like Ron Collins. I don't know if you know Ron, and then Dominic Jones, you know, and DeWitt and all them, and so we were having to sing along with them right? Like I'd do a song, and then she would do a song, and then I'd be like, well, next time I get up here, I'm gonna have to be better than I did today. Because if you've ever heard her sing, I mean, it's crazy the stuff that she can do, you know. So I think without realizing it, being around these guys, I just imitated and picked up on things that they were doing, and figured out techniques from listening to them, how they sounded when they would do certain things. And then I kind of imitate, like, okay, I think I see how they did that. And I test it out. It's just years of that, you know. And then, of course, learning, anytime I learn a cover song, I really liked the band Muse, and which to me, they're like a modern day Queen. You know, like they have all this crazy rock and roll, like really unique chord progressions with beautiful singer, you know, hitting all these notes and doing things that are just wild. And so learning those types of cover songs, you know what I mean? Just over the years, you kind of develop and pick up on things that you like or don't like, you know.
And that's kind of what I compare you to a little bit, because I've been throwing you curveballs lately. giving you giving you songs to cover. Like, I'm like, man, he has that. You really, to me, you have that kind of Freddie Mercury like style, and it's just like, man, like this dude, like, I don't know how to explain to y'all. Like, I've never fanboyed over like an artist, because like cause some of the songs you have, like it's giving me chills. Like, wow, like, and it's hard like to make music impact you to where you get chills. Like, dang, like this boy can blow, man. So that's why, like, I'm serious, man. I'm not just blowing smoke. Like, it's just like, and I do my due diligence by like just say, hey, man, like, listen to this song, like convert it. Like, even in my personal workplace, it's like, look, I know that we usually don't do music on this newscast, but you know, y'all have to have him on this newscast. And then, and that's how it came about. And then all of a sudden, like, I think it was Carly, she was just like, oh my God, I love Shay. Like, I'm like, told you, like, you know, like, don't sleep with my boys. But you know, you have some music
support, man.
Oh, always, bro, always. Like I said, you just kind of have that style, that voice, and you know, but you also have the lyrics as well. You all have some bangers, and the fact that some of your songs are so good that when I first heard, I'm like, is this a cover? No, this is. Wait a minute, this isn't a cover. Like, can you explain like your style of like the way you write? Because I went through a breakup, and you know about it too. And thank you for the help and talking me down off of like the heartbreak and stuff like that. And like, I definitely take time and say, hey, thank you, because you really helped me out through that. And he was a good friend and came and talked to me. So I really appreciate you for that, for one. But you know, listen to some of your lyrics. You know, I even recently doing my research right now, I went back and heard some of your first album, and like, man, like when I heard, and I've never heard Into Pieces. You know,
okay,
gotcha. Yeah, I'm like, dang, Shay. I'm like, dang, man, like, give me. I'm like, God dang it, Shay. Like, wow, like, and like just to hear the lyrics itself, like, you know, compared to now, this is a 2-part question. Compared to now and to then, what were you writing about then? And then what do you write? And like, can I explain your writing style about what Shayliff talks about?
Yeah, I would say then I was more like, feel like writing was like more of an emotional dump almost. So I grew up pretty introverted, and we were really have had a blessed life, you know. But I was so introverted. There's a lot of things that I think maybe frustrations and things that maybe I never really told anybody. And so some of that is not necessarily about one in particular thing, like that song In Pieces, but I just knew like I need to get this out, and it's coming out in song form. And then after I take, you know, that kind of emotion and put it into a melody and get that feeling out, and then I spend a lot of time on the lyrics to make sure that I'm satisfied with them, and that nothing pops out to anybody that sounds kind of bad or strange with lyrics, you know. So the difference then and now, as I say, now I'm more able to write songs from different angles. Like I may write a song from somebody else's perspective, or some other things that I've seen happen, but not necessarily like I'm getting out of me or needing to get out of myself, right? Sometimes it's still the case, but that's the biggest difference, I'd say. So it allows me to have more fun and freedom and take different perspectives of people's lives and kind of mix it up a little bit. But the thing that is the same is I only write music from melody and chords with no lyrics typically. And I'm just like getting a sound and a feeling that I'm really stoked about. And the lyrics come way later. I'll finish the whole song without any words, and then I'll go back and kind of, that part takes me the longest, getting the words down. So there'll be a time I'll write a whole song. I don't even know what it's about, but I'm like, it's gonna be a good one, man. Can't wait till it's done. Got the melody and the music in there.
I look at some of your newer songs, Dots and Lines, and Together. I know Michael wrote Dots and Lines, but
yeah,
I look at Together, and correct me if I'm wrong. I know Sweet Emotions was about Aerosmith, Steven Tyler's daughter being born, and when I hear Together, I think that's when your daughter was first born, right? And it's kind of like is it kind of, am I right or am I wrong about that?
Yeah, for sure. And here I am kind of backpedaling, but yeah, that song was like inspired by me getting married and having a daughter, and it's like the beauty of my wife and I's relationship. And there's things in there like where we've had times where we're like, let's just go outside and like, let's just hang out and enjoy like when life has gotten complicated, so that I got some of that's in that song. If you were to, I would definitely say like a family type love song where you could see a shift in my life. That's a good reference, I'd say. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. It really was. I'm like, dang, like the stuff you've been writing lately has definitely been hitting hard. And like, we're going to talk more about Shay Bailiff and his music coming up on the other. Make sure you stay tuned. It's a Straight Up Show podcast, Music Monday.
I need to let you know what it is that goes on inside of me. Thoughts of you flooding me. Maybe you'll understand what you see. If only you let me in, would it change? And I want you to know me, and I want you to see the reason why. Won't you notice I'm in pieces, and I want you to know me, and I want you to see the reason why. Won't you notice I'm in pieces?
Tired of the same old boring clothes? Want to support your favorite podcast but don't know how? Well, you're in luck. The Straight Up Show podcast store is finally here. In our Teespring shop, you can find all the merch that tells the world you're keeping it straight up. From t-shirts to masks to even leggings, our store has you covered. Just visit straightupshowpodcast.com and click that merchandise button. That's STR8 upshowpodcast.com.
Hey everybody out there, I'm Sultan Salahuddin from Southside. Season 3 is out right now on HBO Max. Make sure you tune in, and make sure you tune in to the Straight Up Podcast Show whenever you are online. Peace.
All right, welcome back to the Straight Up Show podcast, Music Monday. I'm here with Shay Bailiff, lead singer of the band Shayliff. Brother, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Sure.
Yeah, you've been having a good time on the show. You've been telling us about some things that I've never knew about you personally with the music and stuff like that. You make it seem so easy. I know that things have not always been easy. For those listening right now, and they are fans of Shay and Shay Bailiff, Shayliff. There we go. Uh, what are some hardships that you all have had on this journey of this great music that you have made?
Man, it's a lot of sacrifice. Not that we've reached a level of like fame or anything, but we put our entire like 20s pursuing any other careers like on the shelf and only played music. Really basically deciding to be poor. You know what I mean? Instead of like hustling up a career. And so that the real sacrifice of that, and then like the hard thing about this, especially if you want to do original music, you just have to know that you really love it, because we would play like shows at a stadium one night, right? And then the next night you're playing in front of like 2 people, and you just have to decide, like, am I stoked that these 2 people are here? Like, hey, they're digging the music. You know what I mean? So you just decide like you're gonna have fun, but it is tough, man. Doing that late nights and all these kinds of things. But now I think we're kind of more of like at our age, we do have, like, I have my own business in construction, and music's more of an outlet, and so it's I feel like more settled with the way that things are now. But there is that sacrifice of, if we want to do a show, like, everybody you still have to put your life on hold in a way, put your time into making these shows happen, but I tell you, man, I put a good, 15 years of my life just music only, and being broke is crap for a long time, But I got, eventually, because I think you can and you have to be a hybrid nowadays, right? It's good to have a few irons in the fire and know how to do a few different trades. And once I put the same energy and work that I did into music into any other trade, I was like, oh wow, I can actually make money with this stuff, So, but yeah, I mean, that's the sacrifice to me. But in the end, the reward, whether or not we get paid a dime on any shows now, is that adrenaline high that you get from playing your originals and like people digging your music and sometimes singing the words. Like, that's a hard to describe intangible right there, so we get the reward of that at least.
Yeah. And I'm not going to keep you too much longer, but 2 questions and then we wrap it up. And you made a lot of sacrifices, and you kind of put in, like, you switching now to where you have a family now and stuff like that. My question to you is, what if lightning just tries to strike you, and you start to get the more fame and stuff like that now, because maybe the eyes weren't on you 15 years ago, but they just automatically happen now. What would happen then?
Yeah. Well, that's a interesting question, and of course my wife and I have talked about that, and I always just say, as a Christian, and I'm by no means a perfect Christian, but I tell her that, hey, if this, because I do love to do this, and this is not us just sitting by saying, like, if it's God's will, it'll happen, and just sitting by. Like, we've really put in the time, and so I tell her, like, I feel like if it really is God's will, He'll show us in some way, and I'll know that His hand's in it. I think that would be the way that I would know. And so I don't rule it out. I mean, it would be awesome to be able to do this as a full career. And I see a lot of guys, a lot famous touring artists, that they just play twice a week. And that I'm like, hey, maybe that could be doable if we ever got lucky. It just depends.
And the crazy part about it, reason why I stay on it, because I'm a believer too, Jesus Christ, and I'm not the perfect Christian either. Trust me, God knows I'm not perfect.
Right.
But I do have a lot of
Same.
faith that I do have a lot of faith in y'all that lightning will strike. And I think that I'm kind of one of those people that will hold on to believe, because I grew up poor, and there were days where I was, you know what, God, I know this won't be forever. You know what I mean? Because our rent used to be $150 and all that stuff like that, and living in Moortown and stuff like that, and like, I had faith. So that showed me that to where I'm at right now, I'm like, hey, faith does work.
Yeah.
So and that's why I hold on to like encourage you guys to keep going, because I got faith and I see the talent you all have, and man, like I have faith that lightning will strike y'all. Well, figuratively, not I know,
Right.
I know you are.
Yeah, for sure, man.
I know you are roofs and stuff like that, man. So I don't want you
to. You're just hoping for the day, man.
But man, summertime's coming up for y'all. I feel bad for y'all, man. Summertime's coming up. I can't imagine what
it's
the roof's
brutal,
gonna be
man.
like. I know. Y'all, we have Shay Bailiff, Shayliff on the show right now. Shay, can you just tell us right now what's coming up for Shayliff? Like, what do y'all have coming out? Any projects at all, or something that the fans should know about?
Yeah, so there's two things. Of course, I'm always writing music, so I feel like I've got at least 5 new songs that I'm working on, and we've recorded 3 new ones, right? So this sounds like another 12-track future album, and so there's always that, the writing. We have a show at the Red River Radio Tuesday, and then we'll be doing a show in April in Shreveport, and a lot of we sponsor a lot of these AKA MMA fights, and for some reason they keep asking me to sing the national anthem, so I'm pretty excited about that, but that, and then another thing too is I've gotten back to my roots with music too. I've started to do more worship music, and so I'm kind of back and forth on the idea of like starting a project, like a worship project, and pretty stoked about that, because Shayliff is, people thought we were a Christian band, honestly. When we first came out, we're definitely like have been in the scene and rocking people's faces off too. But when we first came out, the song "No Ordinary Man," I felt Jesus touch my soul. I told the guys, I was like, I really want to play this at this club tonight, and we might not ever get invited back. And it did so well over there. It was crazy. People were wasted, lifting their hands. But so the point being is that, I kind of like, man, I'm excited about that side of music, and getting back to those roots too. Not that Shayliff is over. I'm just kind of enjoying doing both, so.
Yeah, that Ordinary Man, that kind of hits me home too. I'm like, dang, man, I'm like a bad Christian. Like, I know you got me, God, but man, this song right here really gets me. Like, just
right. Hey, and that's the thing. It's like men like me who are out of control.
Yeah, that's
you
what
can play that anywhere. It works,
Yeah,
and I was out of control at the time, right?
Yeah. Way to go, Shay. Let's make you feel guilty about being a sinner. There you go.
There we go. Yeah.
Man, it's been great having you on the show, man. It's been great just being your friend, your brother. Man, like even at the wedding, man, just like we just never left off, and you just talked to me personally, and I could be vulnerable with you, and you've come to my defense a lot, man. So I thank you a lot, bro. Like, because there were some days I'm like, man, I needed you, and it shows you that I wasn't wrong to, like, trust my feelings with you, and not just like I'm all, oh my God, gushy, whatever, but just like the fact that you've been through some things I've been through, and like, to have my big brother Shay say, hey, you know what, it's okay, bro, just it'll be all right, and to have the music to go along with it, to kind of that really is the chef's kiss, just to have you as a somebody in my corner, and just to know you, bro. So that's been definitely the biggest honor I've had of knowing you, that just all around you're a good guy, man. So
thank you.
And you're a great father too, so, and husband. So hey, man, like, just to see you come from the Shay that I once knew, single, no kids, and now just this awesome father, man, and a businessman, I'm proud of you, bro. So and that goes beyond music. So it just, thank you so much for blessing us today and coming on the show.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate the kind words, dude. That's stuff I'll never forget right there too. So, man, I appreciate that. And thank you for having me on the last episode. Oh my gosh. That's an honor, man. Really, truly. So thank you.
Oh, yes, sir. And one last question for those who don't know you. And think about this one. Why should people listen to Shay Bailiff's music?
Man, I would say you won't feel like you're just listening to music. My whole goal is that you will have an experience. You listen to it, you forget about your life for that time, and you're kind of just in that moment that we try to present to you, you know. So hopefully that's what people experience when they listen to us.
All right, there you have it, man. Shay Bailiff, thank you once again for coming on the Shayliff Show podcast, Music Monday.
Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir. And before we go, guys, make sure you join the conversation. Go to our website, Shayliff Show Podcast, at ShayliffShowPodcast.com. There you can listen to Shayliff's old episode where we interviewed him the first time with Michael Brown, guitarist as well. Also, go to our Patreon page at Shayliff Show Podcast 318, patreon.com/Shayliff Show Podcast 318. Until then, there's only one rule to our show. You got to be
straight up.
All right. And Shay, before you go, you gotta play a little something for us, right?
Yeah, man. This is our song, "Stranger." We hope you guys enjoy.
All right, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, Shay Bailiff.
Times and elements that you can